Hi, I'm Danny. Welcome back to another video. Recently, I shared a video on my YouTube page where I used a borescope to peek inside my engine. I was blown away by what I saw. The pistons, the valves, the cylinder walls looked almost brand new with no carbon buildup. This Civic is 16 years old with 173,000 miles on it. I bought this car new in 2009 and I've maintained it myself. In this video, I'll share my secrets to keeping this engine strong and clean. I'll also share the major repairs it's needed over the years. Let's get started with the big question. Why does my engine look so good? Frequent oil changes. I've been using Valvoline 520 synthetic oil since day one. Regular oil changes are crucial for your engine's health. The manufacturer suggests a certain weight, and that's the weight you need to put in your car. Number two, the PCV valve. The PCV valves helps prevent harmful gases, preventing buildup and keeping the engine clean inside. Number three, fuel quality. So I live in California and we have so many additives in the fuel. Although they're expensive, it helps keep my engine clean. Number four, spark plugs. Good spark plugs ensure good combustion, minimizing harmful byproducts. Now let's talk about the maintenance that I've done over the years. Besides oil changes, I've replaced the battery. I do this almost every 4 years. I just want to get a fresh battery in there so I don't break down. I do front and rear brakes whenever they're needed, coolant, spark plugs, and if you ever have an idle problem, clean your throttle body and perform an idle relearn. These are all simple tasks that can extend the life of your vehicle. And I have videos on everything I'm talking about today, and I'm going to put that in the description. I've also replaced the transmission fluid. And I want to talk about this because I get a lot of questions on this subject. Questions like, hey Danny, my car has 150,000 miles on it and the transmission fluid has never been changed. Should I replace my fluid? Well, the short answer is yes. The fluid in your transmission, it not only helps the transmission shift, but it cools the transmission. So if you have transmission fluid in there that's worn out, it's going to make that transmission wear out quicker. So the transmission does have a drain and fill, and you can get half the fluid out. My recommendation is pull that drain plug, get whatever comes out, and then fill it back up. It's usually about 3 bottles. And I do have a video on how to do this. And then after about 6 months, do it again. But now, if your transmission is having trouble shifting, having problems, it's probably not a good idea because sometimes that like gritty transmission from the clutch packs coming apart, that's the only thing holding that transmission together. So, and then it would be a no. But I've never had an issue with a transmission having a problem after I've done a transmission fluid change. And I don't know if you know it, but I used to be a transmission guy for 30 years, rebuilding all sorts of transmissions. So transmission fluid, yes, I do have a video and I'll link it in the description. Another question I get all the time is, where do I buy my parts? I try to buy them on Amazon and I try to use Amazon Prime. If I use Prime, I get it the next day, it's free shipping, and if I have a problem, it's free returns. And whenever I do a video, I put the link to that product in the description. That way, when you're watching my video, you're replacing that part, the same part that I have. So get Amazon Prime. I'll go ahead and put a link to that in the description. And if you use my link, my channel does get credit for that. Another question I get is, do I use aftermarket parts? And yes, I put a starter in this Civic 3 years ago and it's still running strong. I put some AC actuators in just recently. They work fine. So yes, I do use aftermarket parts. Whenever I can, I will use factory parts, but sometimes they're just way too expensive. Which brings me to my next point. What have I done to this thing over the years? So this car is 16 years old now. The only major repair that I've had was one, the starter. And it cost me $125. I put it in and haven't had a problem since. There's a couple more things I want to touch on before I end this video. I installed new rear shocks. These were $30, $35 a piece. It took 20 to 30 minutes to install them. They were KYB, so a known brand, and it really improved the ride of my vehicle. I'll put a link to these in the description. Also, I have a complete video on how to do this. Also, I put a multimedia player in a couple of years ago, still running strong. I've got navigation, I've got CarPlay. It's perfect. It was a great upgrade. I love it. A power steering flush. If you haven't done a power steering flush, you should probably do that. I have a video on that, and it's a pretty simple process. I just installed some new wiper arms with the blades, and they were really cheap on Amazon, and they work really, really well. I also used the borescope to look inside the cylinders on my 2007 Honda Element. And as you can see, this thing looks perfect in there. There's like no carbon buildup at all. So I'm going to turn it and let's see if I can see the valves. And there's the cylinder wall. Let's see if we can go all the way and see the valve seats. So those are looking really good. We're going to come down a little bit. Got a good look at the valves. It looks like it just came off the showroom. My Element only has 130,000 miles on it compared to the Civic, which had 173,000 miles on it. That's the difference. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but the DXZ TOS is the borescope I used. It worked pretty good. This is not a sponsored video, but you can see the footage. It's 1080 and it works pretty good. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.